This is So Anyway It's Haunted.
We're back. We did it.
Yeah.
We are back. I know you were scared for our safety.
Yeah.
You were afraid and scared and lonely all week. You didn't
Yeah.
have anyone to talk in the background.
We tried to pull a publicity stunt like at the end of or like after they made Cannibal Holocaust, where they hid all the actors and made it seem like it was real. We made you think that we got taken by the tall man.
Yeah. But we didn't. Here we are.
Nope, we're good.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Mostly.
We're mostly here.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Hey, so hi guys, we missed you and we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get spooked, hopefully.
Hopefully.
We're trying to spook you, man. Hopefully we don't get spooked like last episode.
Yeah.
That was quite scary, actually. So at the top, I have one specific shout out. My headphones are falling off. I have one specific shout out for our friend, Drew.
Oh, yeah.
How's it going, bud?
What's up?
Yeah.
Drewbert.
How's how's New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, and teaching kids.
Yeah, he's doing great.
No.
Forget about it.
He listens to us.
That sounds exactly like him.
He supports us. And
Yeah.
we miss you, bud. And we'll have you on the show next time you come in.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Have video evidence
Yeah.
of him grabbing people on the New York streets saying, "Listen to So Anyway It's Haunted."
That'd be great.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. Guerrilla marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We are moving into our new house
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
this weekend. The big move is this weekend.
Yeah.
I went in, I got the keys Friday, and went in by myself and just kind of walked around and kind of enjoyed it.
Creepy.
Kind of envisioned how I was going to decorate it. And then I went to the attached garage. We
Yeah.
have an attached garage and a detached garage. And the attached garage is very creepy, like I was telling you.
I'm excited to see it.
There's a room in that garage
Nope.
that
You
is
didn't
like
tell me there was a room.
part of the house.
Mm-mm.
It's kind of behind the utility room, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a room, and the door on it is just like a couple wooden planks with
Oh.
spaces in between.
Interesting.
And it's just darkness behind it.
Okay.
So I was pretty freaked out.
Huh.
I also kept, and I told you this too, I also kept kind of like walking around the living room, kind of envisioning how I was going to set it up, and then out of the corner of my eye, I kept feeling like something was looking at me from the hallway.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was because I was wearing my smaller framed glasses, and that usually happens to me when I, like,
Yeah.
it's all blurry on the side. It's, so it might have just been me. I'm alone in a, new house, and, could have just been that, or the hallway that you'll be staying in, McAnally, is haunted. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I'm so excited to move in, though. I just want it to be over with.
I also was walking around. I turned on all the lights to make sure they all worked, and I went to the front room, the front bedroom, and then I was walking around the house, whatever, and then I did another lap, and I thought that I had turned that light on and left it on, but I went back and the light was off.
And that's
So-
Chris's room.
Yeah. That's kind of, I think that's the consensus. Like, that's what he wanted.
Yeah, he wanted to be as far away from
For some reason,
our
he
room
was
as possible.
drawn to that room.
No, it's because he didn't want to share a door with our bedroom.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We did walk in, and he was facing the corner for some
Oh,
reason.
no. And he's like, I was just the window.
Oh, you guys found me.
What?
Yes, I'm Chris.
You guys found me?
You guys found me.
Anyway, yeah, we're really excited about it. I'm going to
Yeah.
be decorating it tomorrow.
We have so much space.
Oh, so much space, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I see one Halloween-themed thing in my Christmas house.
Too bad, because I already hung up the David Bowie Halloween window decal. And the really
Oh, I
awesome
forgot about that.
vintage, the really awesome vintage magnet that I got from Leech Pit in Denver.
Yeah.
That's like it's just a a freaking headstone that says R.I.P. with skulls on it. It was really cool. Quite please. So too bad, McAnally.
Leech Pit was weird.
Suck a butt.
Wow.
Was there leeches in the pit?
There was. No.
It was a weird records resale, like punk rock resale shop inside of a moped.
You had to walk into like a moped
shop
like, dealership to get to this tiny shop in the corner.
It was just this room.
Yeah, it was really weird, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
It
awesome.
had some cool
And
stuff.
the guy that ran it, just has a hood at all times, and he's actually like 1 million sentient leeches
Oh yeah.
posing as a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Like a Resident Evil 0 or whatever.
Yeah.
They gave us stickers. One of the stickers said, make Denver lame again, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm excited. Anyway,
It's your fault.
I don't understand.
You sold us Colorado.
I did.
And we went.
I said, boy, howdy, it's like
Yep.
one big bong.
Oh, Lord.
That's exactly
Oh,
what you
Lord.
said.
Those are my words.
Yeah.
All those dead miners. Which phrasing of miner do I mean?
I know.
yeah.
You decide.
The E or the O? We don't know. Minor? Never mind.
They could have been minor
Wow.
miners.
Miner's mining. Anyway, we should just jump into it. I'm ready to talk about
Really?
some spooky stuff.
You
Yeah.
don't want to talk about any horror movies that we
Oh
watched?
yeah.
Because we watched quite a bit, I think.
Okay.
So, first off, we watched Suspiria.
We did watch Suspiria. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that.
Really weird. Kind of long, but I liked it.
So long.
I don't know if I'd ever watch it ever again.
3 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see that movie ever
But
again.
it is pretty gnarly.
Have you
at
seen the trailer
points.
for it, McAnally?
You showed me last time.
It's
Oh yeah, I did.
It's pretty creepy.
It was all right.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
There were some gnarly parts, some gnarly body horror,
Yeah.
but mostly it was like
I don't
just
look away
too much.
often while watching a movie, but like there are certain parts in that movie that are just like ooh,
Yeah,
like pretty
really gross.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Didn't keep me up.
Yeah. And then we watched Halloween.
Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
and that
JLC.
was C plus.
I liked it.
I'd say it's a B minus.
I liked it. It was fun.
It was fun. It was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we watched Haunting of Hill House, which
Yeah.
is
I watched
really
it for
good.
the second time, and then I rewatched it with you.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of it, McAnally, besides what you watched at our house?
No.
Okay, then moving on.
Anyway, like I was
I
saying,
give it 2 empties out of empty.
It's really good. Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I cried. I screamed. I made you watch it. It
Yeah.
was really good. Yeah.
It does seem kind of Stephen King-y, I guess, in some sense, like group
Mm.
of children, sort of with powers,
Kind of.
kind of,
Kind of.
that like band together.
Yeah. Oh, I
little
see
bit.
what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
But
Why are you shaking
yeah,
your head?
It's really good.
Because when you mention Stephen King and children, it makes me unnerved.
Yeah, like Stand By Me,
Stand by
Terrible.
me.
terrible movie.
Horrifies me.
That vomiting scene kept me up at night.
Yep. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, and
Yeah, we highly recommend Haunting at Hill House. It was
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
if you're one of the one people left that hasn't watched it,
McAnally.
if you're Mac and
That's me.
Yeah.
we
We're
recommend it.
recommending it to
Yeah.
you, so you need to watch it. It is 10 episodes long, and each episode is around an hour or longer.
It's
sometimes.
really long.
Yeah, so that's 10
Feels like
hours.
you're watching a movie every episode.
Because really you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's
it's pretty intense.
It's rough, but it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And has one of the best episodes where they do this sort of like continuous shot. It seems that the shot is continuous the entire episode. Really, IRL, when they shot it, it's 18 minutes of continuous shot, which is still insane.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty sick. It's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Check it out, man. You.
Okay.
Why do you look so blank?
Because I'm thinking about the episode that y'all made me watch.
You're looking straight through my head. It's really creeping me out.
Was it scary, or was it that there were spoilers that you're...
What? No. You. What? No.
I didn't
Scary.
realize it's not really like I was like, oh man, that's a big spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler because you find out in the first episode. That,
Was
like,
it really the first episode? I
The
think
one-
maybe it's the second episode.
that you find out? Well,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
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 I mean, you find out pretty early.
Yeah.
you
yeah.
find out.
Comparative. Shut up.
Really early.
That's me. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, check it out.
Yeah.
Ch.
All right.
Check.
So, do we want
Check
to
it,
jump
check it.
into it? Because my segment's probably going to be a little bit long.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
All right. So,
I'm just excited to be back.
yeah.
I'm just excited to be Mac.
Okay.
Here, let me set up the
Oh yeah.
thing.
The thong.
You're going to cut all this out, right?
Yeah, I'll cut it.
Oh, good.
Ew. I'll leave that in.
Okay. So, you told me earlier this week about a certain thing called Troll Bridge,
Yes, that is from a listener, Leanna of ours,
yeah.
who's becoming an acquaintance of mine. Oh.
So I started to look it up, and there's not much about Troll Bridge. Like, I guess not much to dig into, but I was surprised at the surrounding happenings around Troll Bridge, because that section of like Indiana, Illinois is it's pretty interesting. So today I'm going to talk about Little Egypt, Illinois.
Little Egypt.
Little Egypt.
That's the name?
Yeah, so it's southern Illinois, and I think it bleeds into Indiana a little bit, because I think Troll Bridge is in Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, most of the information I got is from strangeandcreepy.com, which they're the ones that actually made that video that we were watching. Those two kids.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
They run this website? The kids run the website?
Strangeandcreepy.com? I don't know. I just saw their video on it.
Not. I don't know.
But I also got a lot of information from Wikipedia and prairieghosts.com.
Ooh, prairie ghosts.
Yeah. Okay, so Little Egypt is a section of Illinois located in the southern tip of the state that has long been known as Little Egypt, and several of the towns near there bear the names associated with Egypt of old, such as Boaz, Karnak, Carmi, Thebes, Karnak. Wait. It said Karnak.
Karnak.
Herod, and of course Cairo.
Herod?
Yeah.
Cairo. That's
And
crazy.
Karnak.
According to tradition, the people in the central part of Illinois gave the region this name when they were forced to travel to southern Illinois for grain after a series of droughts and bad winters destroyed their own. The settlers in the wagon trains were compared to the ancient Israelites traveling to Egypt to buy grain in the Bible.
I'm sure Egypt really appreciates that.
Yeah.
We're suffering so bad.
So that's, I guess, why it's locally known as Little Egypt. Let's see. The earliest inhabitants of Illinois are thought to have arrived around 12,000 BC. They were indigenous hunter-gatherers, but they also developed a primitive system of agriculture. After 1080, the production of agricultural surpluses resulted in the development of complex hierarchical societies. With the rise of the Mississippian culture in the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys, tribal leaders organized thousands of workers to build complex urban areas featuring numerous large earthworks, pyramidal, ridgetop, and conical mounds used for religious, political, and ceremonial purposes. They're mound builders.
Dude, isn't that movie called The Mound? Is it called The Mound?
I don't think it's called The Mound.
Well, there's a movie about a mound.
Yeah.
And it's really freaking creepy.
And there's also a story ghost written by H.P. Lovecraft. I think that's called The Mound.
Oh, maybe it was based on the story The Mound, but it's called something else. I think that's what it was. I think that's when you got really into Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mound builders' culture seemed to have collapsed between AD 1480 and 1580. The Illinois tribes for whom the state is named and other historic tribes migrated to southern Illinois around 1500. Archaeologists say that they were not descendants of their earlier inhabitants. They spoke an Algonquin language of Miami Illini, shared in dialects among neighboring regional tribes. They had likely migrated from eastern areas, where Algonquin language tribes emerged along the Atlantic coast and waterways. The Illini left numerous artifacts, including burial sites, burnt-out campfires along the bases of bluffs, pottery, flint implements, and weapons. Structures built by them include stone forts or pounds. So in about 1673, way later, French explorers from Quebec became the first, or not way later, but they became the first Europeans to reach Illinois. The French named the area Illinois after the Indians who had welcomed them. After defeating the French in the French and Indian War, also known as the 7 Years' War, and signing the Treaty of Paris in 1763, the English ruled the Great Lakes region. At that time, many French settlers moved from towns on the eastern side of the Mississippi to the western side, which was ruled by Spain after the war. It took over all the Louisiana territory west of the river. During the American Revolutionary War, the southern Illinois area was the scene of the best-known campaign in what was then the American West, when Virginia sought to occupy it against the British. In 1787, the federal government included Illinois in the Northwest Territory, an unorganized area that included present-day Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Slavery was prohibited in this area, but for some time, slaveholders were already in the area were allowed to keep their slaves.
We hate it.
It was admitted as a free state in 1818. In late 1811 and early 1812, the New Madrid earthquake struck the region as one of the largest successions of earthquakes, including the most intense ever indirectly inferred. It wasn't recorded, but I guess people thought it was really bad.
Wow, that seemed bad.
A feud between families in Williamson County, called the Bloody Vendetta, lasted nearly 10 years and took many lives. In all, 495 assaults with deadly weapons were committed, and 285 murders took place in Williamson County between 1839 and 1876. This was unusual, as crime was almost non-existent in Illinois during its frontier years prior to this period of lawlessness. At the beginning of the 20th century, coal mining became an important industry in Illinois until the Great Depression struck. Coal mining and iron foundries. Union miners all over the nation went on strike in 1922, and during this period, 24 men were killed during a riot in Herrin in Williamson County.
Wow.
It was called the Herrin Massacre, and the county was known as Bloody Williamson for years to come.
Wow.
The Shelton Brothers Gang and Charles Berger's gang operated in southern Illinois in the 1920s during Prohibition. Shootouts between these and other rival gangsters and with law enforcement officers were common. After being convicted of ordering the murder of the mayor of West City,
dude, what?
The leader of the Berger gang, Charlie Berger, was hanged in 1928. Still today, the area is fairly rural, but does have an abnormal amount of paranormal activity. I will go out on a limb and say this place does not seem pleasant to visit. If you have been there, maybe correct me if you want. But yeah.
Why do you think that?
It's just like weird. It seems like rural, and also there may be satanic cults.
Okay.
It's yeah. It seems a little bit.
Do you really think
like why would you go there?
Satanic cults?
I don't know. Some of that stuff is so overblown.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Part of the satanic panic.
Yeah.
So, do you think that the Herrin Massacre was misunderstood to be a massacre that took place in Herrin, and instead was actually a massive
massacre of herons?
No, it's that a giant heron bird, abnormally sized, came out of the mounds,
killed everyone.
And killed everyone. They're like, it's the Herrin Massacre, and they're like, this place must be called Herrin.
Yep, that's it. How do you know?
So stay away from those mounds people.
Kill him. He's a witch.
There's herons in there.
Oh, by the way, just now I looked up. It's called The New Daughter. That's what that movie's called.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to know anything about a creepy Indian burial mound...
That's probably not actually factually true.
It's not factual at all, but it is
Based upon
creepy.
the idea of a man who thought he saw true events in a book.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
It's pretty creepy, yeah.
I kind of don't remember anything but the last part.
Yeah.
But I remember being creeped out.
It's pretty creepy.
So...
So... I'm going to talk about the Devil's Backbone and the Devil's Bake Oven.
Why did they call it the Devil's Bake Oven? You guys? What is that?
Know.
Like the Easy Bake Oven, but the devil?
Yeah.
Why is it the Devil's Bake Oven? Why not the Devil's Oven?
I don't know. I don't know why they...
It was already taken.
The Devil's Oven.
You can't call that. Where's the Devil's Oven?
We already have one in Iowa.
Would you prefer Devil's Oven underscore 012?
0000001.
So the Devil's Backbone is a rocky ridge about a half a mile long near modern-day Grand Tower at the end of a particularly rough stretch of the Mississippi that claimed many early settlers' lives.
Oh, gosh.
During the steamboat days, the Backbone served as a landmark for river pilots. It also afforded an excellent lookout point from which boats could be seen coming for miles away. The two outcroppings of rocks also made an excellent hiding place for Indians and river pirates to hide.
Wow.
And wait for their victims to come along. In fact, the raids by river pirates became so bad that in 1803, a detachment of U.S. cavalrymen were dispatched to drive the outlaws from the area. They set up camp at the Devil's Bake Oven from May to September of that year. While the soldiers waited, the river pirates simply moved their camp to a rock overhang on the Big Muddy River. The place is still known as Sinner's Harbor today.
So, the Easy Bake Oven was not invented yet. So, was the
unfortunately
Devil's
not.
Bake Oven first, and then you think they created this tiny oven? They were
Yeah.
like...
It's kinda like,
So, I'm from Iowa. I heard of the Devil's Bake Oven. Why don't we call it the Easy Bake Oven?
What if we harness the power of the devil
Yeah,
in a battery?
it's kind of like the Ouija thing. Like they saw a bunch of seances and like they're like, oh, we can make a tiny board that you can sell and people can talk to their own
Yeah,
ghosts.
and then Hasbro will pick it up and sell it at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Never, ever touch a Ouija board.
So this is part of the Devil's Backbone.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
It does look beautiful. I wouldn't mind.
It does look beautiful.
Yeah, that's factually accurate.
It does look beautiful.
Yeah. So according to the old story, oh, I think I might have.
If you try to go for a swim, your skin explodes off before you can make it under the water.
So there's a story of.
Yes, I'll just. You ignored him.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, what happened?
Oh no.
So there's a story of a female ghost. Oh wait, no.
Sorry.
Don't move ahead. Don't move ahead.
Sorry. I swiped ahead.
Okay. Also, this is the Devil's Bake Oven in the olden
Oh my
ages.
lord.
So,
no.
so there's a legend of a woman ghost. She was said to be the very beautiful daughter of the a superintendent of an iron foundry that was made in the Devil's Bake Oven. She was said to be very beautiful, but also sheltered and naive about her life. Her doting father kept her away from the rough men of the foundry, and although she had a number of suitors seeking her hand in marriage, he accepted none of them. Finally, one day, the girl fell in love with one of the young men who came to court her.
Oh no.
As is often the case, the young man was a handsome, roguish, and an irresponsible fellow of whom her father strongly disapproved.
Bad boy.
He forbid her to see him, and after she slipped away to meet the young man a few times in the night, her father confined her to her house for a long period of time. The young man was maybe convinced to move on from Grand Tower, possibly for money offered by the superintendent.
Oh wow.
And the young girl wept over him for days and weeks. At last, either because of grief or because of some illness brought on by her despair, the young woman died.
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
The spirit of the young girl was said to have lingered at the site of the house for many years after her death. Visitors to the area reported seeing a strange mist-like shape which resembled the dead girl, walking along the pathway and vanishing among the rocks near the old house. Her disappearance was often followed by the sounds of moans and wails.
Wow.
It was also believed that when thunderstorms swept across the region, those moans and wails would become blood-curdling screams.
Oh my gosh.
Also along the Devil's Backbone, these are out of order. Whoops. Okay. Also, I tried. I forgot to get a picture of like the actual house because there is a picture of like what's remaining of the house that
Oh,
the
wow.
superintendent had. It's just like a stone sort of like
Hearth,
wall,
probably?
basically.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all is left.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the devil's backbone. So this next thing, I drove myself crazy because I wanted to know what this was. Apparently, a mass grave was discovered just
course.
randomly in Little Egypt.
Okay, so tell him, do you know anything about the mass grave? Are you going to tell
No,
us?
it's such a short article.
What?
There are no follow-up articles, and I have no idea what's going on. So on April 25th, 2017, at approximately 4:30 a.m.,
2017?
a group of unidentified bodies were discovered wrapped in grave clothes at an old graveyard in Plymouth, Indiana. 6 open graves were found, but only 5 bodies.
What?
So I think maybe someone was searching, or maybe, I don't know, because like they found them. Obviously, they weren't actually part of the cemetery. I have no idea. There were reports of a man and woman heading north from the location. But other than that, there seems to be no more information that
Wait,
can
were
be
they
found.
old bodies or were they people that were recently killed?
I don't know.
What?
I drove myself crazy trying to find more information about this, and
That's
no one
insane.
was reporting on it except for this one tiny article.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You know, this is our origin story, right? This is the beginning of the horror movie where we're like, we have to find justice. We're going to get justice for those people. We have to
Yeah.
find out what happened.
And then we go out in the woods.
Yeah, and we
Never come
We
back.
get one of those selfie sticks, and then we start recording a YouTube channel. And we're like, hey
yeah.
guys, we're at the airport. We're about to get on. And then there's a shot of Mac and Allie snoring on the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get off, and it's a bunch of, like car shots of us like eating sandwiches.
Yeah.
And being like, I wonder, I hear there's a serial killer, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Meet
And then we talk to locals.
meet a local at a gas
And
station.
they're like, I don't know about them bodies. I wouldn't go
Stop
searching.
asking all those questions.
Yeah, the
about the
gas station
bodies.
attendant tells us to mind our own business.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know.
I'm just saying we can make millions
It's true.
on the movie. Oh, bless you.
No. I think,
Was there a cat hair on the mic?
no, I think something just
A
flew
ghost,
onto my
a
face.
ghost tickled your nose.
It was a moth.
Yeah.
By the way, Caleb, I know you're listening to this, and we continuously forget to tell you, but ever since you started sending us moth memes, there have been endless amounts of moths in our house, and I'm not joking.
It's really creepy.
Like so many. Like it's not an infestation, but
No. Not like the
we
flies.
see let's not talk about that. A raccoon died under our house, and then our house got infested with flies.
Yeah.
Jeff
It's because our
Goldblum
neighbors keep
everywhere.
leaving food on their porch. Anyway,
Theoretically.
that's over. No, we know. Come on, we know. Anyway, yeah. So we see at least one moth a day, if not 2 to 3 or 4. And for a while, it was like 3 moths just living in our house, and then Chicha ate all those, crunched them up.
Yep. She
So-
likes to do that.
Anyway, I'm just saying, Caleb, please stop cursing us with moths. Please.
All right. So now on to the main event. This is Troll Bridge,
This is the story of Trollbridge.
also known as Bremen Troll Bridge.
Also known as Bremen Trollbridge.
It's a bridge in between Bremen, Indiana, and Little Egypt.
It's a bridge between Bremen and Little Egypt.
According to legend, if
And
you
it's
park
haunted. Okay.
according to legend, if you park your car on this bridge, a troll will come out and throw things at your car. Others say that if you honk your horn when you're on the bridge, the troll will show his face.
Damn.
The beast is said to be 7 to 8 feet tall and very aggressive to trespassers.
It's just me.
Scary.
And,
Stop.
I'm gonna show you guys
You
a
need to be
picture.
nicer to yourself.
I need you guys to be
Okay. All right.
cool about this.
Okay.
They actually caught a picture of a troll.
Stop. Christopher. Oh, no.
I think this is this might be in Bremen.
Is this an artist's interpretation?
No,
Yeah.
that's him.
This is a police sketch.
That's scary looking. Everything's to scale. You said 7 to 8 feet tall, but
Yeah.
like his nose is so big.
It's a big
and
nose. It's like a
don't-
cucumber or something.
How does he live under the bridge without people seeing him all the time, no matter what? Doesn't he walk around? Oh,
Oh.
no, honey. Oh no.
Yeah.
He only has 4 fingers.
Anyways.
Poor guy.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk
Sad.
about Lakey's Creek, which I think is really funny. Not like Creaky's Lake, but Lakey's Creek.
Couldn't find me a lake.
So the creek is located in McLeansboro, Illinois, and was named after an early settler named Lakey, who started construction on a cabin near the creek. The structure was to lie just a short distance from one of the major trails in those days, the road from Mount Vernon to Carmi. Lakey made quick work of the cabin and always had time to stop and visit with neighbors who came calling. This was what he was doing one evening when he was last seen alive. The next morning, some neighbors found his decapitated body
Oh my lord.
propped up against a tree near the cabin. His bloody head was lying nearby, and it appeared that Lakey's own axe had been the murder weapon.
What?
The killers, whoever they might have been, were never found. Lakey was buried next to his unfinished cabin, but he wouldn't stay in the grave for long.
What?
The night after his funeral, 2 men were walking near the abandoned cabin when they spotted a headless figure on a large black horse. The rider...
Is this the original?
I don't know.
Wow.
The rider took his mount over the river and abruptly vanished. 2 nights later, other travelers encountered the same ghost, giving rise to an enduring legend.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's the original, like,
Headless Horseman?
Headless Horseman sort of myth, but yeah.
Wow.
Very interesting. So this part's kind of long. The Phantom Funeral of Fort des Chartres.
Is this all in that area?
Yeah, this is all in Little Egypt.
I'm so. This is only one place?
Yeah, this is all in southern Illinois.
What?
Yeah.
How do they have so many of these lores?
It's really weird.
Must
I
have
don't
been
know.
a bunch of like weird,
Especially in,
weird
like-
settlers that were like murderinos and
Yeah.
into paranormal. And they're like, ooh, what about this? What if we saw a headless horseman?
Yeah, especially in like
Creepy
such a
troll.
rural area,
Yeah.
or an area that seems like it may be rural. Like
Bunch of
there's a lot of
freaks.
like legends and stuff
Yeah,
like that, which is really cool.
legends.
So Fort des Chartres was built around 1720 as a French military outpost. After the French were defeated in 1763, the fort went under British rule and eventually fell into disrepair. The legend of the Phantom Funeral began in July 1889 when 2 women witnessed a mourning entourage of more than 40 wagons, 13 groups of soldiers, and a casket rolling along the road outside of the village. Despite the size of the group, the procession made no sound. It disappeared in the direction of the small cemetery located outside of town and never returned to the ruins of the old fort from where it had come.
Creepy.
Although they did not yet realize it, the women and one other witness had glimpsed what has become known as one of the most famous enduring mysteries of the Mississippi River region. Mystery.
Enduring mysteries. Imagine you're in southern Illinois.
Imagine. So, according to the legend, 3 people along the road from Fort des Chartres to a small cemetery in Prairie du Rocher will be able to witness the funeral procession. This is really weird. Between the hours of 11 and midnight, but only when July 4th falls on a Friday.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm with you.
The modern version of this intriguing story begins in July 1888. A woman named Mrs. Chris and her neighbor were sitting on the front porch of the Chris house near Prairie du Rocher one night. It was near midnight, and the 2 women had escaped the heat of the house by going out into the cooler air on the porch. They talked quietly for a short time, and then one of the women noticed a large group of people coming toward them on the road. She caught the attention of her friend, and they both puzzled over why such a procession of people and wagons would be on the road from the old fort at such an hour. As they spoke, the wagons rolled into view, looking strange and eerie in the pale light of the moon. Behind the wagons came carriages and men and women walking along the dusty road. There was no clue as to their purpose on this night until a low wagon holding a casket came into view. It was apparently a funeral procession, Mrs. Chris thought. But why so late at night? The 2 women continued to watch, and they counted nearly 40 wagons, followed by horsemen and mourners on foot. Then they noticed something very peculiar about the grim parade. Even though the wagon wheels seemed to pound the earth and the feet of the men and women stirred up clouds of dust, none of them made any sound at all.
Wow.
The entire procession was impossibly silent. The only sounds came from the rustling of the trees in the breeze and the incessant barking of the Chris family dog, which also sensed that something was not quite right. The spectral and silent procession. The barking of the dog awakened the neighbor woman's husband, who also looked out and witnessed the strange entourage on the road. He verified the women's account early next morning, and other than those 3 people, no one else saw the Phantom Funeral March. Eventually, the procession passed by and faded away into darkness. The two women waited the entire night for the funeral to return, but they saw nothing more. Why was it that they had been seen, and whose funeral was being conducted? The answers would come some years later, and they would learn that the procession had already also been seen in the past. In fact, it was a replaying of an actual event that occurred many years before. During the French occupation of Fort Chartres, a prominent local man had gotten into a violent disagreement with one of the officers of the garrison. The two men exchanged heated words, and the local merchant was accidentally killed. Unsure of how to handle the affair, the fort's commander sent a delegation to the government offices in Kaskaskia. They advised keeping the incident very quiet.
What?
And ordered the local man be buried at midnight in the small cemetery that is now outside of Prairie de Rocher. So July 4th will again fall on a Friday in the years 2008, 2014,
Oh.
and 2025.
Oh, great. We gotta wait this whole time.
Yeah. All right. So this next one.
Maybe we should buy our tickets now.
Yeah. Well, they're super cheap.
Yeah.
So what happens is
$5.
if you witness it and you look really closely, one of the silent men will trip up and go, "Oh!" And because he made a noise, the rest of them silently turn on him and start beating him to death and throw him in the casket.
Yeah. There's a lot of ghost stories
lore.
about like ghost processions and stuff. Yeah.
You know how much it's got to suck to be a ghost, and you have to like the other guy is getting all the attention. It's his funeral, and you have to walk it.
Yeah.
You know how salty I would be.
I don't know. You're the one that gets seen, though.
I guess.
Yeah.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Little Egypt Cemetery. Actually, I don't think I have an image of this.
Was that him?
It's pretty. It's like a flat cemetery. It's not that interesting looking.
That's
I
rude.
gotta say.
They ain't got no mounds.
So the Little Egypt Cemetery is an unkempt cemetery located deep in the heart of Amish country. The perimeters of the cemetery are protected by barbed wire to help keep out vandalizing teens and potentially local satanic cults.
Oh, my lord. Okay.
Which the Amish deal with a
Alright.
lot.
Yep.
Okay.
There are a number of different reports on this location. Some people claim that there is a tree with bloodstains on it from
my
a murder
lord.
that occurred here. Little Egypt has been the site of satanic worship, according to local lore.
According to locals,
Yeah.
in a rural area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surrounded by
Nothing to do.
surrounded by Amish. Mm-hmm. People have seen mists and orbs in photographs taken at this location, and they have reported a number of personal experiences, including the sound of babies crying and shadowy apparitions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am not afraid of ghost babies.
I am,
Children,
except for
horrifying.
Baby Blue.
No.
Baby
He gets
blue,
bigger
blue
and
baby.
bigger until
Okay.
he
That's
crushes
true.
you to
That
death.
just makes the challenge of beating him all the
You can-
Come on, ghost
You're
baby.
gonna outlift the baby.
How much do you bench?
Let's move on.
Enough.
Keep going.
Enough for a baby.
Enough for a blue baby.
So the last thing I'm going to talk about is the old slave house. And mind you, this is a free state. So that should give you an indication on why this is noteworthy. So this is the house. It's also known as the Hickory Hill Slave House. Hickory Hill was built by a man named John Hart Crenshaw.
His last name wasn't Hickory. I'm pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay.
This dude.
Nope.
And you'll find
Why
out
is she
why
so scared? What happened to
Yeah,
her?
yeah.
What's happening in the corner of that room?
her eyes are a little disconcerting. And you'll also find out why he has a cane in just a little bit.
Oh dear. He's a freak. Sorry.
He is a freak. This guy is he's a not nice
Is that
man.
him today?
No.
McAnally. Oh my lord. Who is that guy? Is that just the caretaker or something?
Is that to
Yeah, he
scale?
might
Is
be
he
the
really
owner.
that big compared to the house?
Yeah. It's a yeah. So it was built by John Hart Crenshaw, a descendant of old American family with ties to the founding of our country. Crenshaw himself has a notable spot in the history of Illinois, thanks to both his public and private deeds. In 1829, Crenshaw bought an enormous amount of salt land from the government they were selling to build a new prison. Eventually, he became very well known for his salt mines. He was also very involved in the local church.
Okay.
He might have been like a deacon or something
And
like that.
what year was this again?
1829 is when he bought all the land.
Okay.
And then he built the house shortly after, I'm assuming.
Okay.
So he became well known for his salt mines, but unbeknownst to many around town, he had a tendency to capture free black men and runaway slaves.
Oh my gosh.
And then force them to work in his mines.
Oh my gosh. What a horrible person.
He had a group of night riders that took to creating a reverse underground railroad.
Oh my gosh.
Waiting along the Ohio River and capturing any runaway slaves to either ransom back to their former masters or holding captive in the barred chambers of the third floor attic.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. So located on the third floor of Hickory Hill are the infamous confines of the attic and proof that Crenshaw had something unusual in mind when he contracted the house to be built. The attic can still be reached today by a flight of narrow, well-worn stairs. They exit into a wide hallway, and there are about a dozen cell-like rooms with barred windows and flat wooden bunks facing the corridor.
Oh my gosh.
Originally, the cells were even smaller, and there were more of them, but some were removed in the past. One can only imagine how small and cramped they must have been, because even an average-sized visitor to the attic can scarcely turn around in the ones that remain. The corridor between the cells extends from one end of the room to the other. Windows at the ends provided the only ventilation, and during the summer months, the heat in the attic was unbearable.
Oh no.
Let's see. The heat in the attic was unbearable. The windows also provided the only source of light. The slaves spent their time secured in their cells, chained to heavy metal rings. And there are still scars on the wooden walls and floors today, and chains and heavy balls are still kept on display. Eventually, Crenshaw was indicted for kidnapping a free black woman and her children in 1842. Rumors began to spread about his questionable business activities, and one of his sawmills was burned down, and over the course of the next few years, his business holdings began to decline. In addition to several civil court actions against him, salt deposits were discovered in both Virginia and Ohio that proved to be more profitable than those in southern Illinois.
Wow.
To make matters worse, Crenshaw was also attacked by one of his slaves, resulting in loss of one leg.
That's
Good.
great.
Yeah. The stories maintain that he was beating a woman in his field one day when an angry slave picked up an axe and severed Crenshaw's leg with it.
Oh, yeah, dude.
After that, most of the slaves were sold off and his operations dwindled with the end of the salt mining.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
should have gone.
Gone for the head.
Should have not gone for the leg. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. In 1906, the Sisk family bought the property, and after so many requests to allow admission to the general public, they began charging admission in 1930 to what people referred to as the place where slavery existed in Illinois.
Wow.
Shortly after the house became a tourist attraction, visitors began reporting that strange things were happening in the place. They complained of odd noises in the attic especially. Noises that sounded like cries, whimpers, and even the rattling of chains.
Oh my lord.
A number of people told of uncomfortable feelings in the slave quarters, like sensations of intense fear, sadness, and of being watched. They also told of cold chills, being touched by invisible hands, and feeling unseen figures brush by them.
Wow. I mean, that does not surprise me.
Oh,
All
yeah,
that
this
horrible,
place has
horrible
gotta
energy.
be super haunted.
Oh my lord.
If any place is. This
Man.
place definitely has to be.
What a horrible dude.
Yeah.
Like, what a freaking monster.
It reminds me of Marie... no, wait.
Marie Laveau?
Yeah.
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 No, that's not Marie Laveau.
No, wait.
It's Madame Dauphine Lalaurie.
Yeah.
Lalaurie. Yeah.
It also became known for offering thrill seekers the ability to stay the night in the attic.
No.
Yeah.
Would y'all do? You wouldn't do that.
Heck no.
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that?
No.
I thought
I thought you
what
said
you
you
were
wanted
all
to
about.
see something, Christopher.
No. That's bad
No.
energy. I want to see happy ghosts.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
please.
Okay.
Good luck.
Look at those cats. What a bunch of freaks.
I don't know.
Weirdos.
I don't think yeah. So
No, I couldn't do that.
Because you wouldn't do it, then I would do it.
that would okay.
And then they would beat me to death.
Gosh. Years passed, and despite many attempts, no one managed to spend an entire night in the attic of the old slave house.
No one? Seriously?
Thrill seekers had a habit of running from the house long before daybreak.
Dude.
Eventually, Mr. Sisk declined any other offers to stay. Except in 1978, he allowed a reporter from Harrisburg named David Rogers to spend the night in the attic as a Halloween stunt for a local television station.
Ooh.
The reporter managed to beat out nearly 150 previous challengers and became the first person to spend the night in the slave quarters in more than a century.
Okay.
Rogers later admitted that he was queasy going into the house and also said that his experience in the attic was anything but mundane. He heard many sounds that he could not identify, and later he would discover that his recorder picked up voices that he himself could not hear.
Yeah. Do you know what they said? I guess not, huh?
No, I don't know.
Wow.
And that is Little Egypt.
That.
It's
This
lot of
is a
stuff.
city or a county.
It's yeah. I mean, well, it's probably be like three or four counties.
That's insane. That's insane that one place has so much activity,
Yeah.
so much lore,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
spanning
going on.
a ton of different like categories.
Yeah.
Like
I'd
that's
visit
wild.
Trollbridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honk my horn.
All right.
Wait for him to throw stuff at my car.
I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
it would just be like a futuristic me crawling out from under there, throwing rocks at your car.
Yeah.
You'd be like, when he brushed his long hair out of the way, I saw that face. I know that face.
All
But
right. Well, thanks for sharing that.
do they have any
That's insane.
tiny Giza pyramids there?
I don't think so.
Then they're a bunch of fakers.
Super
Yeah.
tiny.
I'm so done with the Illinois. If you're a listener and you're from Illinois, shame on you.
Don't say that. We like all our listeners. Please don't stop listening. We
That's
need
true.
you. I need
We
this.
need you.
I need this.
Okay, so
A little weird.
Moving on.
so for the urban legends, I know we had our Halloween spectacular spectacle
Spectacular. Yeah.
Sure. But before that was happening, as you'll recall, I was doing my travel around the globe series, and we're going back to that.
Okay.
And for our next worldwide urban legend / folklore, we are going to travel to Transylvania. Yeah, you thought, but guess what? You're only kind of right.
Okay.
Welcome to a lot of places in Southwest Asia, Southeast Europe.
I'm hyped.
Sweet.
So,
Let's do it.
what I love the most about talking about my subject today is that a lot of people only have their ideas from the romanticized legends of said creature.
Okay.
Whereas I did a lot of digging into the ancient concept of vampires.
Ooh.
So,
Ooh.
vampire origins are one of those interesting myths that are born from legends all across the world in a time where information didn't travel too well. So many cultures shared what appeared to be the same exact creature, but with varying details.
Okay.
So, here are listed a few beliefs about the pre-romanticized vampire. So, the story begins, our early concept of vampires.
All right. I love romantic vampires.
You scratching your butt?
No, I was backing up so I could sit up.
Look at her. Look at that cat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my lord. They're grooming each other. It's so
Look, my
weird.
ear.
Ew.
Yeah, I think everybody really digs romanticized vampires to some degree. I
Yeah.
think the whole idea of these gothic,
Why are they so sexy to people? It's so
Everyone
weird.
has a gothic.
Well, there's
phase.
a whole actual study into.
You need to look away. Mac has
What
never
happened?
been goth.
But
He just
does
said
he
everyone.
Like, does
he
he
just
like
said
goths?
everyone has a gothic phase.
Yeah, everyone's like either into the idea of being goth or like into goths. Or
Look,
I think.
Which are you? Which
No.
have you been?
that's a trick question.
I wanted to be a goth,
Both.
but I
Wait, you're both. Ew.
No, I'm saying he was both.
I wanted to be a goth, but I was also very like sort of neurotic about people looking at me, so I didn't want to look different.
Honey.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of friends that were goth.
They're fighting. They're fighting. Do it.
Our cats are boxing right now.
Anyways, so
But yeah, like I wanted to be goth, and obviously like I'm into goths.
What is that supposed to mean?
I think you know what that means.
I don't think I know what that means.
don't
I'm not a
know.
goth, so I don't
Okay.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not goth,
anymore.
Okay.
so
There was a time.
he just kicked her. He's like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Anyways, something that I picked up in all of my Bachelor of Fine Arts,
Yeah.
it was worth it.
I believe it.
One of the studies they went into was because it was a part of writing. I know the word for it. Dramaturgy? Yeah. Because we did a whole segment of studying into like the types of writing and stuff like that. They did have a segment where they went into why people find vampires specifically. So whether it's physically or romantically attractive.
Intriguing.
Ooh. And I do have a fun fact about... we're going to go into the romanticized vampire legends later, but I want to cross that bridge in a minute. I'm going to get too ahead of myself. So our story begins in Slavic and Chinese tradition.
Interesting. Okay.
Where, not what you would think. It's certainly not a little European country of spooky origin.
I think Slovakia is in Europe.
Slovakia is around, but what I'm saying is it's not the traditional, like...
It's not like Victorian England vampires.
We're talking stone houses.
Transylvanian.
Yeah. So anyways, basically, to boil down the original story for you here, a Slavic man and a Chinese man are burying a loved one. And a dog goes running by, and they're like, no, 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 no. And the dog jumps over the dead body.
What?
And one guy looks at the other guy, and he's like, do you think this is maybe not good?
It's
and
an
the guy
omen.
goes, yeah. And so...
What's happening?
And so okay, no. The actual myth is that it was a Chinese and Slavic belief that if an animal jumped over a corpse before you buried it, they were pretty much predestined to come back as a ghoul.
Interesting.
What?
Yeah.
Man, people are weird. People just believe stuff.
Those
They
are
But
just-
you know it had to happen at some point. That's why I'm saying our story had to have started with some Slavic guy that's like dragging Brutus over to a hole, and then a fox jumps over and he's like,
Did you see that?
Yeah, but it's like you're in the woods and there's animals everywhere, and
Yeah.
you're obstructing their path. So it's like,
Yeah.
have to
But-
stake Brutus.
There was also that weird thing. We were watching a Drunk History where, like, to find witches, they had to like feed like a dog some.
yeah.
Some-
No. Okay, so it was the person peed, and then they made a cake with the pee, and then
right.
the dog had to eat. They got a dog to eat the cake, and then if the dog got sick,
No, if the person felt pain.
oh, if the person felt pain, then they were a witch.
Yeah. Like
That was
I
it.
mean,
so
this-
many steps to
That
get to
could
this.
only be put into practice if it worked at least once. So you're telling me that somebody's like, stop eating the cake!
Oh
And
my
like,
gosh.
man, people.
Yeah, there was some weird
Man.
stuff going on.
You know that person was
Jeez.
just suicidal. You know.
They just wanted to be caught
They're like,
for
yeah,
something.
well, I bet you won't put my pee in a cake and make a dog eat it because I would feel pain. Or would I? Only a witch would.
We should try that.
That's awfully specific, but
That's disgusting.
Why would he tell us that if it wasn't the case?
I mean,
Anyway, okay.
so sorry, back to
an
vampires.
animal jumps over a corpse, and then
so yes, this happened to at least one Slavic guy and one Chinese guy, and
Yeah.
they told all their families from that point on. They're just like, that's
That's
probably not a good thing.
too much to be coincidence.
How many times do animals do that? But particularly if it was a dog or cat, they really freaked out because that meant your loved one is going to come back from the dead and eat you. And so, okay, that's another important factor. Early vampires, yeah, they just straight up ate you. They didn't care about your blood. They weren't
so
trying
they were
to be...
zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you'll notice that a huge trend is that they're just undead. They weren't, at first, there was no specific fangs or
Yeah.
all that jazz. So the first ever way to get rid of a vampire, make sure you keep this by your bedside, people. You poured boiling water onto the poor dead body.
Whoa,
So
that's
if-
so
if,
gnarly.
You know, if someone found that body a little while later, just like, oh,
Yeah.
he was boiled to death. In Russian folklore, vampires were specifically witches that were killed and buried, and they're like, well, the only reason why they would come back is because they were witches.
Yeah.
This was a belief passed out by the Russian Orthodox Church.
Oh,
Oh, no.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, cultural practices eventually arose that were intended to prevent recently deceased loved ones from turning into the undead. Which this is by far my favorite part, because the idea of undead and vampires in general was only just starting to begin, and somebody out there was like, I know how to stop it. Some sick freak out there that just loves...
You mean some enterprising, smart guy?
Literally. Rode into town.
Yeah.
Sold bottles of pee.
But,
But,
sold bottles of boiling water.
yep. Pre-boiled water.
Just warm it up.
It's just as good. Just warm it up.
It boils twice as fast.
This is frozen boiling water. You just put it in the oven.
So here are some of the ingenious ways to keep them from coming back. If you bury them upside down, well, they can't get up.
I think I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't
Oh,
get
honey. It's that easy, man. I mean, these are the simple solutions we're looking for, not the pee in a cake and make the
Oh,
cake
yeah.
and get a dog and,
Yeah.
just bury him upside down.
And they knew
true.
this worked because they buried a living man upside down, and he wasn't able to get out either. So they were like,
I mean, same.
Wait, are you being
common
serious?
sense.
I can't tell.
No.
Okay, people are just so crazy. I don't know. Maybe they
Yeah.
did do that.
It's interesting to think like there is a right way up to bury someone, though, right?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's you bury
So that their
you
eyes are
bury-
looking to heaven.
You bury them feet first, so they're
Oh my lord.
What's wrong with that? Why can't we do that? That seems more interesting.
That
It's more
actually-
efficient.
Less digging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually,
Just like
Just build a
yeah,
hole, like
there'd be a lot more space.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We should go into, we should start a cemetery together.
Oh yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then you pour boiling water in the hole, and you take care of two things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sure.
So some of the
Sounds
other ideas were to bury them next to earthly objects such as scythes or sickles. Why specifically scythes or sickles, I don't know, but they were like earthly objects,
That'll
like scythes and
remind
sickles.
them of their humanity.
And,
Also, that they could just pick up if they became alive and
Oh,
then
yeah.
come kill you.
yeah, but the thing is, what specifically gets me is that at this point of belief, they still thought they were being like possessed. So
Oh, okay.
the sickles and scythes were supposed to satisfy the demons.
Okay.
Because that's how you do it. You give
Yeah.
them, you provide them with
Oh,
a way to.
sick sickle.
Sickle.
So if you gave them this, it was believed that they would not wish to arise from the coffin because, well, you gave me a sickle.
Yeah. I mean,
This
what else
was
do you need?
this was actually started by the Greeks, who would place an obulus in the corpse mouth to pay the toll to cross the river Styx.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how you get a coin in the mouth to a sickle, but it's what happened. The coin was supposed to ward off evil spirits from entering the body and may have later influenced the vampire folklore. This tradition persisted in modern Greek folklore, where the virkolakas, which was a wax cross, was placed with a piece of pottery with the inscriptions "Jesus Christ conquers" next to the corpse to prevent the body from becoming a vampire, specifically. So that was more of a modern thing.
Okay.
Other methods commonly practiced in Europe include severing the tendons at the knees or placing poppy seeds, millet, or sand on the ground at the gravesite of the presumed vampire. This was intended to keep them occupied at night by counting the fallen grains,
Yeah.
indicating an association with association of vampires with arithmomania.
Does that sound familiar? Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
That episode? Okay. All right. Turd. There's an episode of The X-Files where
That's really good.
Yes, you should definitely watch it if you haven't, where they go to a small town that is supposedly plagued by vampires.
Yeah.
And, Mulder talks about that phenomenon where you can throw seeds or whatever, just throw a bunch of stuff on the ground, and vampires will have to stop and pick it up.
Yeah.
Because of their OCD.
So again, like I was saying, what's weird about this is that was a European Slavic belief, and then again in China they were like, oh yeah, you throw a sack of rice, they have to count the rice. So different places.
Yeah.
It's not like people are just walking to China like, hey, we're throwing poppy seeds at the graves.
The same guy that was selling boiling water went to China, started selling seeds.
So in Albania, the Dampier, which is a hybrid child of the Carcassol.
Oh.
Don't call my mom that.
Carcassol.
I mean, would you call my mama? That's a better joke.
Look,
that was a better
before
one.
I get a corrections corner next time, I just want you to know this thing is spelled Karkanxholl.
Oh, wow.
Carcassol.
Oh, Carcassonne?
Sure, that thing.
Duh.
Hey, the crazy thing about Dampiers, it's a hybrid child of, insert word here, which is a werewolf-like creature with an Iron Mail shirt. Awfully specific.
Did it build it for itself?
Or the Luget. Yeah.
It sounds like what a goth would draw in 6 periods.
So basically, if a werewolf, specifically just a werewolf that wears an Iron Mail shirt, gets it on with a water-dwelling ghost or monster, you get a Dampier. A Dampier, the offspring of a has the unique ability to discern the from the derived expression of the Dampier known as the Luget. What are you trying to say here?
This is like several steps removed for like believability. First, you have to believe there are like werewolves. Yeah. Then you have to believe that there are fish things. Then you have to believe that the fish things are able to mate with the werewolves to create another thing.
Well, remember, werewolves are their own things. Are werewolves that wear Iron Mail t-shirts.
Oh, okay.
That have their favorite sports team on.
Oh, my lord.
Anyways, I don't know why the Dampier was so important. Basically, to summarize, in Albania, they were just like, okay, look, the vampires aren't a thing, but Dampiers, which are the son of a werewolf and a fishman, why are they important? Why are they cool? Because they're basically vampires, but what do? What is a Dampier? A Dampier's only purpose in life is it can point out the ghost ghoul from the water that birthed it, and it's like, hey, only I can kill that thing.
Okay.
And then everybody in town's like, kill what thing? Because they don't see it. And he's like, yeah, but...
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it.
You don't see it because I killed it.
What the heck?
You're welcome. So, I don't know what's going on in Albania. I apologize to
a lot of weird stuff.
All Albanian listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to go a little past all the ritualistic stuff about vampires and go into the early days of identifying a vampire, which I should also state. Vampires, before the romanticization of them all, were basically like little demon people.
Okay.
They were like anorexic looking. They had demonic little devil tails and usually horns and wings.
Interesting. Okay.
So they look more like the concept of the Jersey Devil and less of
interesting.
So yeah, just saying. So anyways, for those of you, for our listeners who live in the 1400s and want to identify a vampire,
here's some tips for you.
Yep.
So quick tips, quick summer tips.
Life hacks.
So many rituals are used to identify a vampire. One method of finding a vampire's grave involves. I'm sorry, Avery.
Peeing on the grave.
Avery just,
That's exactly what I was
If you hurt
thinking.
yourself, then...
Avery just messaged and talked about one of her students learning American swear words. So anyways, one of the methods of finding a vampire's grave involves leading a virgin boy through a graveyard or church
Oh no!
on a virgin stallion. Note, the virgin boy is not enough. The horse would supposedly balk at the grave in question. Generally, a black horse is required.
Oh, okay.
So, just so we're clear, unless it's in Albania, you need a white horse. Curse you Albanians and your white horses.
Racist.
So, anyways, after the virgin boy on the virgin black horse, unless you're in Albania, balks at the grave, a hole would appear over the grave, and this was taken as a sign of vampirism.
Like Looney Tunes style?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he goes, "What are you doing?" Let's see here. The corpses that were thought to be vampires, yes, we're still going with the Virgin Boy thing.
Yeah.
The corpses thought to be vampires were generally described as having healthier appearances than expected, plump, and showing little or no signs of decomposition.
Weird.
Yep. In other words, they were,
They were feasting.
because of the sun and rotting flesh,
Yep.
and we didn't
Yeah,
have any
they're
way
bloating?
of preserving.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bloating, and they're like, "Huh, that looks like he's still alive."
Oh, they look all fat and happy.
I want to be fat and happy. In some cases, suspected graves were opened, and villagers even described the corpses as having fresh blood from victims all over their face.
What?
Evidence that vampires were active and giving... I'm sorry. Evidence that vampires were active in a given locality included death of cattle, sheep, relatives, or neighbors. So if you're cattle, and then sheep, and then your neighbors are dying, it's a vampire.
If your grandma dies at the ripe old age of 40...
Oh no. Oh no, Grammy.
So, vampires could also make their presence felt by engaging in minor poltergeist-like activities such as hurling stones on roofs or moving household objects. And pressing on people in their sleep.
Oh, okay. Like a nightmare?
Vamp nightmare. So,
You got it.
So, vampires, they're basically, those teenagers throwing those rocks in your roof? Those aren't teenagers. Those are vampires. Shame on you. If you look out your window and the virgin boy on the horse points and says, vampire, they're probably right.
Okay.
So anyways, by 1597, King James is just absolutely fed up with all this.
All those vampires.
So he said, you know what, you think you're clever. He wrote a dissertation on witchcraft titled Daemonology, in which he wrote on the beliefs that demons could possess both the living and the dead. Because King James doesn't like that you're coming up with... He wants to write his own fan fiction. He doesn't like your fan fiction.
This is the way it really happens.
Within his Daemonology book, he wrote... he classified the notion of the incubi and the succubi
Wow.
that could possess the corpse of the deceased, walk the earth... And
so did that come from him?
Yeah.
Interesting.
King James, those are his OCs. Do not touch. As a devil, they will borrow a dead body. It would seem so visibly and naturally to any man that it could converse with them, and that any substance within the body would remain intolerably cold to which they abuse. Intolerably cold to others, which they abuse. Okay. So basically, you're like, oh wow, you're walking, you're talking, you're perfectly fine, but then they go and they give you that, the embrace, and you
the embrace of the succubus.
I don't like this. It's cold. Uncle Tommy is. Tommy, don't say that.
You already did it.
Uncle Terrence comes back from the dead.
Terrence.
And he gives you that hug, and he's got frosty nips.
Ew.
Stabbing you in the chest, and you're like, that's not possible.
Ew.
But what if the incubus wore the peachette crown?
Well, you have to ask King James.
Yeah,
So let's
Freak.
Let's get him back up here.
Are you happy with yourself?
I am.
Do you think King James ever thought we'd live in a world where we have cartoon dinosaur men turning into beautiful anime women?
Beautiful anime woman. Beautiful, bouncing, voluptuous.
I'm sure he dreamt all the time.
That just sounds like you're constipated.
Oh, Lord.
Anyways, so let's hop back on my plane here. Let me take you on. We're running out of fuel. And guess what? We're no longer in Europe. We're dying in the ocean.
Oh.
No, here are some non-European beliefs of the pre-romanticized vampire. So, in Africa, they got vampires. Oh. Various regions of Africa have folktales featuring beings with vampiric abilities. In West Africa, the Ashanti people tell of the iron-toothed, tree-dwelling Asan Bosam, and the Yu people of Adze, Adze? I'm not saying that right, I'm sure. Which can take the form of a firefly and hunt children.
Oh.
What?
Okay.
So, You thought we had it bad with turning into bats and sucking on cows. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You got the guy that turns into the firefly. How does a fire...
I don't.
Yeah, what do they do to the kid once they get it?
Well, they're like, ooh, you know, firefly, and it turns to a big naked man. And they
Oh, no.
snatch your children away.
Oh, no.
And don't forget their iron tooth. So,
Yeah.
The impundulu, which can take the form of a large taloned bird, can summon thunder and lightning.
Oh.
And the Bastilio people of Madagascar tell of the Ramanga, an outlaw or living vampire who drinks the blood and eats the nail clippings of nobles.
Oh.
Ew, dude.
Wow.
Gross.
If they're still on the finger, it's no game.
Yeah.
But he's
They have
just
to wait till they're clipped. Clip them, please.
Stop.
Ew.
Clip the nails.
I have clippers right
He
here.
just
You're just going
crawls
to suck
around on
my
the
blood
floor.
and eat my nail clippings, aren't you? So, surprise, surprise, early America had their own vampires too before, we were across the pond of our cousins. Whatever. Anyways, the Loup-garou... What a stupid
Loup-garou.
name. Loup-garou.
Loup-garou.
We're Americans, come on. Loup-garou is an example of how a vampire belief can result in a combination of beliefs. Here, it was a mixture of French and African voodoo. Wow. The term loup-garou possibly comes from the French loup-garou, which, sounds exactly the same,
That's what it is.
but it's spelled Loupgarou.
Okay.
And in French, loup-garou means werewolf.
Oh.
I don't know why werewolves keep popping up with vampires, but
They were meant to be together.
it is common in the culture of Mauritius. The stories of the loup-garou are widespread throughout the Caribbean islands and Louisiana in the United States.
Louisiana.
That's
Louisi.
right next to us.
Oh.
Similar female monsters in the Socoyant of Trinidad and in the Tunda and Pastola of Colombian folklore, while the Manpuchi of the southern Chile have blood-sucking snakes, known as the Puchin. Aloe vera hung backwards behind or near a door is said to have ward off vampiric beings in the South American folklore.
Backwards.
Like garlic.
If you don't put it backwards,
No.
they'll suck twice as much blood. Aztec mythology describes the tale of Quihuateto.
It sounds right.
Kind of right. It is the skeletal face spirit of those who died in childbirth and who stole children and entered into sexual liaisons with the living, driving them mad.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So, we skip forward in time a little bit. During the late 18th and 19th centuries, the belief in vampires were widespread in parts of New England, particularly in Rhode Island and eastern Connecticut. There are many documented cases of families disinterring loved ones and removing their hearts in the belief that the deceased was a vampire who is responsible for sickness and death in the family.
Yeah.
Although the term vampire was never used to describe the dead. The deadly disease tuberculosis, or consumption, as it was known at the time, was believed to be caused by nightly visitations on the part of a dead family member who had died of the consumption themselves. The most famous and most recently recorded case of suspected vampirism is that of 19-year-old Mercy Brown, who died in Exeter, Rhode Island in 1892.
Wow.
Her father, assisted by the family physician, removed her tomb 2 months after her death, cut out her heart, and burned it to ashes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, my Lord.
Gosh. Talk about paranoid. So, in the late 1950s, over in Asia, vampires had appeared in Japanese cinema. The folklore behind it was the Western origin. The Nukekubi is a being whose head and neck detach from its body to fly around seeking human prey at night.
What?
Yeah, I think I've actually seen art of this thing.
Oh.
Legends of a female vampire-like being who can detach parts of their upper body also occur in the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia. There are two main vampire-like creatures in the Philippines, the Tagalog Mandarugo, which literally translates to bloodsucker,
Okay.
and Visayan Mananagal, self-segmenter. The Mandarugo is a variety of the Asawang and takes the form of an attractive girl by day, develops wings and a long, hollow, thread-like tongue at night. The tongue is used to suck up blood from a sleeping victim. The Mananagala is described as being an older, beautiful woman capable of severing its upper torso in order to fly around at night with huge bat-like wings and prey on unsuspecting, sleeping pregnant women in their homes.
Oh my god. Do her legs not fly? Or her
No,
his
the
tor-
legs,
her
the
torso
legs have
is
to
all-
wait for the body to
Okay.
come back. Or maybe it just like runs to wherever the body's flying to. So the best part is, unlike the Tagalog, the the Tagalog uses the long tongue, like I said.
Yeah.
The Mananagalaga uses and I like how they try to be clever in saying this, an elongated proboscis.
Ew.
Its nose.
Oh. Sniffing up that blood.
To suck fetuses from the pregnant women. They also
That's
like to
disgusting.
eat
Oh my
entrails, specifically the heart and liver, and the flagellum of the sick.
Gross.
Oh. Okay.
Flagellum?
Okay. Yeah,
I don't-
that thing.
I don't. Okay.
Will you spell it?
No.
Wow, okay. Turd.
Let's see. So, Jiangxi, sometimes called the Chinese vampires by Westerners.
Okay.
Thank you, America. Just so you know, I just want to be clear. This was a prime example of one of the ones that was not a vampire, but
we decided to.
but America said, that's that dang old Chinese vampire.
Oh no.
So the Jiangxi are reanimated corpses that hop around.
Yes.
Yeah, the hopping vampires, as we call them now.
Yeah.
How do you know about this?
There's
They're pretty popular in folklore.
there's one in Spelunky too.
Yeah,
And
that too.
isn't like what's her face from Marvel vs. Capcom? Isn't she one of those?
Yeah,
Okay.
I forget her name, but yes. I know, not even from looking at this, I know that they are commonly known to wear traditional, the stereotypical Chinese attire, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, the fine button-down shirt with the hat, and like they have the paper seal that are placed on their forehead. That is supposed to keep them from coming back, but
Okay.
commonly they're seen with them.
Yeah.
So the Chinese vampires.
Oh yeah, May has a costume
Yeah.
that's like that. Okay.
They hop around, killing living creatures to absorb life essence, ki,
Okay.
from their victims. They are said to be created when a person's soul fails to leave the deceased body. Jiangxi are usually represented as mindless creatures with no independent thought. This monster has a greenish-white furry skin, and perhaps it's derived from fungus or mold growing on the corpses.
Ew.
Jiangxi legends have inspired genres of Jiangxi films and literature in Hong Kong and East Asia. Some of the films include Encounters of the Spooky Kind and Mr. Vampire.
Mr. Vampire.
These came out in 1980 and 1990 respectively.
Oh, okay.
And so that is all I have on the pre-romanticized vampire, but just to give a taste into what we're going to get into next, we are going to get into the Victorian Age
Ooh.
glorified vampires.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite Twilight stuff.
Yeah. I love it.
Because
Can't
as
get
we
enough.
know, Bram Stoker's original Dracula sparkled in the daylight. He would choose an extremely young woman to court for years on end, and then finally say, "I think I want to get married and have a baby with you."
Yep.
That's our preferred vampire. No, of course, I will be taking a moment to talk about Castlevania a little bit when I get into it, because it's just such a good representation. Of,
What about Underworld?
I don't know what that
Okay. Alright.
with Bill Nye.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom. Her favorite
Yep.
series.
Shout out to my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll watch all of the Underworlds over and over and over.
Gothic
Wow.
action movies.
Gothic action movies. So just a few little tidbits to hold you back until we get to next week. So here's a quick question. as everybody knows, there was the famous story of all the authors getting together: Mary Shelley, Bram Stoker.
Sure.
Let's write a scary story, and then whoever has the scariest wins. True or false? Was that the first instance of the written vampire, Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna say no.
Like in fiction? I thought some of the original literature was like in reference to freaking what's his face that impaled a bunch
Vlad
of
the
dudes.
Impaler.
Vlad Tepes?
Yeah, sure. Anyway, yeah, he impaled a bunch of dudes and then drink their blood or whatever.
Vigo the Destroyer.
Sure. I don't know anything about history. I only know this because of Drunk History.
Well, that was from Ghostbusters too.
Oh.
Well, not that.
Oh,
Not that. I'm talking about Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why, McNally?
So it's just funny because
It's just funny, but I just think it's funny.
actually, no. So while you are correct in assuming that it is not the first, it actually was only the second.
Wow.
There was only one instance before Bram Stoker's Dracula that was describing vampires, and to really wet your lips.
Ew.
Gross.
It was I believe I'm gonna get this wrong, but either the main character's name is Lilith or the book itself is called Lilith, and it's the first ever fiction writing of a vampire.
Interesting.
Was
Okay.
of a actual lesbian vampire that was the entire book is the first person point of view of the woman she was stalking.
Interesting.
Not actually the vampire itself.
Interesting,
That's
okay.
creepy.
It's actually a cult classic book, and it beat Bram Stoker's by, I want to say, 40 or 50 years.
Wow.
Wow, that's
And
insane.
because of its topics, people don't talk about it much, and they're like, Dracula was the first vampire. Well, Dracula popularized it, but this was the one instance before that.
Cosmo.
That was me.
Let me
No, it was
think.
Cosmo. Just blame it on him.
So yeah, that's a tidbit. I will talk more about the book next week, including Lilith, if that's even correct. I don't think it's correct. No, Cardelia. Is that the
Cordelia?
It's something like that. Don't corrections corner me. I'm gonna
no.
I'm gonna correct myself
Oh,
next
no.
week. It starts with a C.
Okay.
I think the girl that she was stalking was named that or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'll get the name later.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm going to talk more about that. I'm going to talk about Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then definitely a lot about the actual real person, Vladimir Tepes III.
Interesting.
Wow, okay.
Who
I'm hyped.
We should watch the Drunk History episode after this.
I'd
It's
watch it.
hilarious.
Is it about him specifically?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Yeah.
I'd watch that. It's so very...
Horrifying?
No, it's not Hamlet. Which one is the... It's like Richard III, basically. Like, it starts off with, like... He has, like... There's other heirs to the throne and their children. He has them sent away. Then he tries to kill them. And he does kill all these people.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, there's all the impaling. And people are like, this guy... What a leader, am I right?
He impaled like 20,000 people or something, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No,
it's insane.
It's a ridiculous amount. And then basically, like, he's at one point thrown in prison, and they're like, exile him, he sucks! And then someone else who comes into authority at one point is just like, yeah, but, like, he's, like, the toughest guy we got. Bring him back. And they literally bring him back. Like, there's just so much to this guy that's just, like, crazy. And it's funny because Dracula, is the first, romanticized vampire or whatever, but, which, that's my other thing. That's my fourth big thing to talk about next week, is that I'm going to go into a little bit about our learnings of why is it vampires are so sexy. There's a reason. The teeth are a penis.
Okay.
It's a metaphor.
It's a symbolic penis.
No, it's
no.
literally. I kid you not. In writing, it's a metaphor.
Interesting.
But,
okay.
you'll
They
find
don't
out-
actually have sharp teeth?
Yes, they have. If you're trying to say
Okay.
something awful about the teeth, I'm not going to go there.
No,
They're sharp, but they're
I
shaped
I thought you
like
meant it was a
penis.
metaphor, as
No,
in
I'm
like
saying-
they don't actually have
Okay.
sharp teeth.
All right.
Wink, wink.
Without spoiling next week, let me just say, it was a term in writing, or rather, it was approached in writing that people took Dracula's way of like flaunting his energy and drawing people in, and then sucking their blood as a gaslighting in a sense, you know, like it was a sexual thing for Dracula to attract these people and then suck their blood. That's why
weirdo.
people, a lot of and not in the current vampire culture we have here in America, but for a while there in like the early 2000s, that was kind of an epidemic, was that people were, you know, getting their rocks off to drinking and sucking blood and all this other stuff. And yeah. So
Weird.
anyways,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, there's a lot
Bunch
of
of
bizarre
freaks.
things in vampirism. But yeah, so we'll save that for next week.
Okay.
Wow. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah, that was good.
It's always weird to me when two separate cultures who have like nothing to do with each other have the same lore. That's like always so creepy to me.
And the thing is, it's like China and Slovakia are relatively close, but the fact that like an untouched America, Aztec culture, Japan, which was an island, Africa, like they all have the same creature.
Yeah.
And like it's just like, you know, just little minor details are being changed, you know. Maybe its
Yeah.
nose sucks up fetuses.
That's pretty horrifying.
Same
Just,
thing.
You know, just minor details.
Yeah.
Minor details. Thunderbird, it's a vampire. So anyways,
Thunderbird.
that's,
Cool.
that's this week.
All right, well, I have 2 emails for us this evening. The first one is from our friend Leanna, and she has a story, a personal story about the legend of Troll Bridge that we just talked about in Little Egypt, Indiana.
I haven't heard this, but I'm excited.
All right, let's do it. She says, I grew up in Indiana with my 2 older sisters who loved going ghost hunting and looking at urban legends. So they let me go with them to Troll Bridge, which was a 2 to 3 hour drive to the very small town you can't even find you couldn't even find on the map at the time, which is crazy. She says, to be honest with you, we barely made it to the location. We got really, really lost and didn't know where we were most of the time.
Okay.
We ended up at a roadblock at around 2 to 3 a.m., close to the witching hour.
Yeah.
And my sister's friend thought it would be a good idea to drive past the roadblocks.
No.
After
It's blocked
passing
for a
it,
reason.
no, of course not. After passing it, the fog got really thick. No doy.
Well.
In the middle of nowhere, surrounded by trees like a forest. We stopped because we couldn't see anything from the thick fog. When we got out of the car, we could hear loud screaming from the distance, almost like we witnessed a murder. The sounds didn't stop, and we weren't near any large towns.
Wait, were they near the Devil's Bake Oven?
No, they're not. Troll Bridge. Unless they're close to each other. I don't know.
They might be.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, they're both in Little Egypt.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
Anyway.
that one had the story about the
that woman that was like screaming and weeping.
misty figure. And
Let's see. The sounds didn't stop and we weren't near any large towns. It was a very eerie feeling and we jumped back in our car and sped the hell out of there. After the barriers, the fog cleared back up like what we experienced never happened.
wow.
Nothing happened at Troll Bridge when we got there, but we got
okay.
super lost again trying to get out of the town. We didn't find our way out until sunrise.
Wow.
We Googled this. Yeah. We Googled this urban legend again and found out there were many people who had the same experience as us, and how many people could not get out of town until sunrise.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's insane. Like, that's scary, man.
Yeah.
It's like they almost got stuck in another dimension or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or a time warp or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
It'll do. Alright. So this is our last email for today. Second and last. But certainly not the least. This is from our friend, Andrew Garrett. Cool. He says, here you go. Here you go. He says, I love the podcast. You guys warm my heart. Tell Mongoloid Mac that I believe in him.
That's.
Yep. But then he says, but don't give him any other context about what I believe in him for.
What?
He believes in you, but why? We'll never know.
Yep.
Alrighty. He
Like
said,
Sasquatch.
Here we go.
If one person believes in me, I exist.
You exist, yeah. You're validated. Alright, so he says, oh crap, my bad. Sorry, I'm moving my feet around. All right, so that was me. That was not the email.
Oh.
Here's the email now. He says, hold on.
He says, "Oh crap, I'm moving my feet around."
So I was raised in Crosby, Texas, specifically in Newport,
Never heard
which,
of it.
as y'all have mentioned before, was largely built on an ancient burial ground. And growing up, I had my fair share of spooky stuff happen to my friends, who just happened to be you guys, my family, and myself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just imagine him retelling one of the stories we've told about ourselves. He's like, "Yeah, I was friends with this guy." Go ahead.
There was a fat man, and a naked fat man in his house.
Drew's
What?
old house is pretty creepy, though.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he talks about it. Okay, so I don't know how much the history and or atmosphere of Newport, or any paranormally charged area for that matter, would affect the unconscious or subconscious mind, but I'm writing today to share the story of my weirdest experience specifically with sleepwalking. From my adolescent to early teenage years, I slept in the same bed as my older brother. The house we lived in was way too big for the number of people we had in our family, and was built long enough ago that it had a freaking maid's quarters.
What?
Yes, it had that extra room
Oh, yeah, yeah,
upstairs in the
yeah.
game room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a maid's quarters, dude.
No.
Yeah, it's insane. So it was old, big, and may have been built on or around a burial ground. The holy trinity of spook, so to speak. Spook to speak.
Spook to speak.
Anyway, the house itself was scary, but the effects it might have had on us without us knowing have always been something I questioned. Because I slept with my brother, I often got his accounts of my activity during the night. And among the few stories of sleepwalking and sleep talking, one story has always kind of creeped me out. My brother's room had its own bathroom, and apparently one night I got up in my sleep and made my way into the bathtub. I didn't turn on any lights, didn't take off my pajamas, didn't make a sound. I did, however, turn the water to the hottest temperature possible and
What?
started the shower.
Oh my gosh.
While I was in it, fully clothed and completely asleep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Now all of that is my best guess as to how I got there, because it wasn't until I turned on the water that my brother woke up from the sound. His account of the whole ordeal is what makes the whole thing scary to me. He woke up to no lights being on, but he could hear the shower running in the adjacent bathroom. He got up, walked to the threshold of the bathroom and turned on the light. And there I was, sitting down in the bathtub, staring at the opposite bathroom wall with this dumb but distant stare of an unconscious person. Steam filled the room and poured out of the open bathroom door. After his eyes adjusted to the light, he took in the situation, and not knowing whether I was in my right mind or not, asks me, "What are you doing?" And with the shower pumping out gallon after gallon of piping hot water on my fully clothed but unconscious person, I simply responded with no emotional inflection, "I was cold."
Oh. Oh, it's.
Yeah.
Oh.
The next day, he told me about the night's events. I almost couldn't believe him, but it did explain why all of my clothes were kind of moist when I woke up that morning. When I moved out of the house, I stopped sleepwalking altogether.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
I still sleep talk apparently, but much less often and with much less aggressive tone than what I would say when I slept there. There you go.
Maybe that
Wow.
also explains why that dog was so evil too.
What was his
I
name?
don't remember having him.
It was like, it was something
Something
like
with a B, right?
I thought it was like Baxter or something like that. That's not
Yeah.
right, but
The one that bit on the Brody's arm while he was playing Rock Band.
What?
unflinching, he continued to play the drums.
What?
But it was less the less the cool part of him continuing to play the drums and more the part that he was like, "Look out, the door's open," and like the dog's like, and like came running out like a bullet and just like latched onto Brody.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I have not heard about that. That's
That's
insane.
funny.
Yeah, so there you go, man. That's crazy. Thanks, Drew, for that story.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Really freaky. I was cold.
Creepy.
Can you imagine, man?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I'm afraid that you or your brother sleepwalk, and I'm afraid
Chris used
that
to.
in this house, I'm afraid that I'm gonna wake up to you guys sleepwalking.
You should always be afraid of my body without my mental control because
my
the
Lord.
destructive nature. He's breaking the car. I was cold. Start
Alright.
pouring gasoline on
So
myself.
while we were recording just now, I got a message from Leanna, and it's a
It
screenshot.
says, look behind you.
It's a screenshot of a message that that her husband sent her. Remember,
Yeah.
her husband is a deputy. And the message says, okay, we just got dispatched to a property check. The details are, owners stated they came home and they can see a figure moving inside their house. Reporter states it does not look human.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, and then he says, we're getting dispatched to an effing Bigfoot.
Oh my
LOL.
gosh.
And then she messaged back. I was like, oh my gosh, dude. And she messaged back and she said someone beat him to the call, so we'll never know.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't know about the Bigfoot. Bigfoot is like best case scenario
It's
in
a
that.
Jersey Devil. Yeah.
But
It's
it
the
doesn't
tall man.
it doesn't look human. That's horrifying.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Oh my lord.
There's something in the top window.
My goodness.
Yeah, speaking of tall man, watch Haunting of Hill House.
Is there a tall man?
There
There
is
is a tall
person.
man, actually.
Dad gum. I'm not watching that. If his foot long finger starts, telling me to come closer, I'm out.
Hey, by the way, I have one more story that Leanna messaged me on Instagram about a cemetery in Huntsville.
No.
Yeah. Let me
You're talking
find
about
it.
the one that I literally lived on?
Martha Chapel Cemetery in Huntsville.
I couldn't tell you for the life.
Alright. She says, we have been to the cemetery. It's one of the scariest cemeteries in the county, and the road it's on is even nicknamed Demon Road.
Oh my god.
It's really beautiful out there, which is why I went in the first place, because I'm a photographer. Oh yeah, check out her photography. It's amazing. I'll get her info. It has some rich history, and there's a historical marker there too. And my husband and I are history buffs. The only thing weird there was salt in the ground from, I guess, other people, and the neighbors string up dead crows on their trees.
What?
I guess to scare the tourists.
I thought
You
those
do get a
were
weird
fake.
feeling being
Yeah.
out there. What?
We've seen things hanging from trees before.
Are you
that
serious?
I was like,
What?
is that?
What? No way.
That's like. No.
Yeah. One time in Lake Whitney, there used to be this, like, when we used to go visit my papa in the summer, there would always be this, like, fence that had, like, dead fish skeletons
Oh.
Wait a second.
hanging on it. Or, like, dead
Interesting.
fish heads or whatever.
What?
So,
Yeah, where my grandparents lived, there was a fence that had stuff like
it was
that.
in, like, East...
What?
Yeah. No, I mean it was
St. Louis.
close. It was like on the way to Dayton.
Oh, no, it was, like, way further out there. Maybe it's just a weird Texas freak thing. Anyway, she said, I made the mistake of bringing my newly 2-year-old son at the time. Nothing happened, but he was having night terrors the whole night when we got home, and I think it was from that cemetery.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And
And then she said we should all get together and go.
I'd be down.
You know,
Yeah.
I actually,
Yeah, that'd be
I
pretty
don't,
awesome.
I don't know that we traveled down it, but we knew about Demon Road when we lived in Huntsville.
Really?
I was like, what a
Demon
stupid
Road
name.
sounds familiar. Like, I feel like I've heard it before.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, there we go, man.
The edgiest name. Demon Road.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for being patient with us as we had like some scheduling difficulties last week. We just couldn't kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
So this might be the last episode we record in this in our little house.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy.
We always said that closet was a demon closet, but we never actually had really any activity out of it.
Yeah.
So
Except
that's
for
good.
maybe the cat's opening it and then we thinking it opened on its own or something.
Yeah, the cats always open it. I knew it was open.
They don't like locked doors or closed
They
doors.
don't. They're
I
freaking
was going to
buttheads.
say, based on her first story about the troll bridge, I forgot that on the way to Kenny Chilton's wedding, Kenny Chilton, number one listener. On the way to Kenny's wedding, me, Chris, and Casey. I swear, was someone else with us? I'm gonna feel so bad.
Kyle?
No, Kyle rode with his family.
Oh, that
Did
makes
Casey
sense.
go?
I
you guys?
almost feel like Zach or somebody went, but no. He didn't. Anyways, I know
Okay.
for a fact me, Chris, and Casey were in the car.
Did Hannah go with you guys?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, Anyways, Chris went a little too long with the gaslight already on,
Oh my gosh.
and we had passed a city for quite some time.
Oh my
And then it was just like,
No
I was like,
way.
we're going to, and it was like, because we drove through the night. And I know that when we got there, I think we got like 2 hours of sleep before the actual wedding.
Was it in Oklahoma?
Arkansas.
No, yeah, it was in
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Okay.
It was a drive.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we see off the beaten path,
Oh no.
like this like old town.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, maybe we could. And I was like, no, we have to get gas.
Yeah.
You are going to run. And like Casey's like, we got to do it, man. We got to go. So like we turn right, we go over there, and like it was the most horrifying feeling I have ever had.
So like we grew up in Crosby. Crosby seems rural to us, but then we
Yeah.
find like actually rural towns,
Yeah.
and you're like,
It's
oh
not okay.
wow. Crosby's like the epicenter of like everything compared
It's a
to these
metropolis.
I don't think there's ever an hour of the day or night where there isn't at least some light, Walmart or something, that is turned on at
Yeah.
Crosby.
Yeah.
Sure.
There are places like this place we were speaking of where like there was maybe in the entirety of this quote unquote town 10 lights, and they were
Yeah.
like street lamps, and just one of them was obviously flickering. And like we pulled up to this unnamed gas station, and I was just like, I don't even want Chris to get out of the car. Chris got out, and me and Casey are like pinned up against the windows looking everywhere, and there's like an empty bus down the street.
Oh god.
Not a sign of life, no lights on in any buildings.
Were the lights on at the gas station?
No.
Really?
Yeah, so it was just
Jeez.
pitch black, and we're just like, get the gas in there. And he's like, what if I just put 10? I was like, no, fill it up, just go. And like, just trying to get out of that place. It just
Man.
felt like, because like, outside of the sound of the hum of the motor, there was no noise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our radio was turned off for whatever reason. We were just trying to like see if anything was around. Nothing.
Yeah.
So like we like sped through there, just to get out and get back on the high. It was the worst thing ever. And then we went to an amazing wedding. So,
Yeah, it was beautiful.
yeah.
I had a really creepy dream one time that the three of us and your brother were all driving on the way to Austin. And we were all driving, I'm assuming it was to Austin. And we were down this sort of like this rural road, and we stopped at this gas station, and we went inside to get snacks. Like we all went inside to get snacks. And while we were in there, like we all kind of came out after we got our snacks, and then all the power turned off. And then everyone that was in the store came out, and we were like, what do we do? And the guy working there was like, oh, they're coming, we gotta go. And out of
Oh.
like the back, I saw, like, we heard like gunshots, and I was like, we gotta go. And so you and I ran, but you and your brother ran the opposite way, and like didn't go to the car. And I was like, dude, we just have to go.
Yeah.
And so you and I like sped off. And then after that, it was just a montage of us trying to survive the next few days, because apparently, like, something bad had happened or something.
Yeah.
But there was definitely, I think, like an overweight naked woman roaming the woods or something and attacking people. I don't know. It was creepy. But that was a dream I had.
Interesting.
If you'd have
The
forced
end.
yourself to go back to sleep and finish that dream, I would have been a national hero. I was running towards the danger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no, stop it. No, let them fight.
Just scattered.
Let them fight.
Anyway.
To
what-
end this on a high note, I actually had a really bad dream the other night. I don't remember if I texted you guys about it.
I don't think so.
I have not had a dream in a very long time, and boy, am I glad for it. Ever since the whole lucid dreaming situation, I just have not been a fan of it. I'm just like, you know what? It's totally cool if I'm just blank and empty for 8 hours of the night and wake up and go back to it.
Yeah.
No dreams, no night movies. No, thank you. I'm good. But the other night, I had a dream that I went to this really nice wedding, and I was just uncomfortable being there. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, they bailed."
What?
The bride and groom bailed. And they're like, hey, you're not married yet.
What?
You want to get married?
No, it wasn't you want to. They're like, don't be that guy.
Oh,
What?
We're all here.
They're pressuring you into getting married.
Literally
to someone?
everyone that was there, and it wasn't like anyone I could name off the top. I'm sure my family was there, but it was just like I remember in the dream thinking of you guys, thinking of Brian, thinking of several other groups of people, and I was like, "Yeah, I am not married. That is a fact." And they're like, "Don't."
These people paid to see a wedding.
Literally, they were like, the venue's been paid for, the catering's been paid for. We're not going to let this go to waste. You need to get married.
Lord.
And they grabbed this random person who, I'm not going to describe them. I don't know them, not personally. It was just a dream person.
Yeah.
But just to put it into personal perspective, I guess I'm an evil human being. They were basically the most unattractive person you could imagine.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're like, I agreed to it. They said that you're the guy. And I'm like,
You're the guy.
I don't want to do this. And like everybody's like, don't be that guy. And like, so
Are you really
basically,
doing this
literally
right now?
everybody else like goes and like gets in their seats and everything. And they're like, come on, get married. And I'm like, and I woke up so mad that everybody expected me to do that.
Yeah.
It
That's
ruined my whole
crazy.
day. So,
I had a dream the other night that my family was forcing me to marry a woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
sounds like
it
your
was
family. Yeah.
really weird. Like they were like, you have to marry her. Like you need to get married. Like this is what you need to do. And I was like, well, I don't think I want to. I don't want to marry a woman. I don't think I'm even attracted to women.
Yeah.
And then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, wait, aren't I already married? And like my subconscious was working it out, like in the dream. Like I don't think I'm attracted to women, and also I think I'm married to a guy named Chris. What am I gonna do about that? But they were forcing me to marry her, and I was like, well, I guess we'll see what happens. And then I woke up.
They were all like,
Yeah.
the reception was being held on the troll bridge. They're like, come on,
You have to. We're going to get married. Going to the chapel. Going to the chapel.
Is this like the running out of batteries?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
It's me, Louis.
hello. It's me, Louis.
We're referencing a video of
Possessed Louis Armstrong.
Yeah, Louis Armstrong, like what do you call it? Like,
puppet?
toy or something.
Yeah,
You
it's
press
like,
the
it's like
button
one of
and he
those
sings.
Santa Clauses that you used to get where you would hit the button
And
and
it
it's
dances
just
or
like,
whatever. Yeah, but it's Louis Armstrong
Yeah.
and he's running out of
and
batteries.
his massive gaping maw would just like.
Oh, look it up. Look up broken Louis
Yeah.
Armstrong toy. I'm gonna do that after we get out.
I do have a creepy toy story from Baytown.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid, I had this Iron Giant toy, and I don't remember it happening any other time. But there was
Cosmo.
Cosmo was trying to attack my hand while I'm telling the story.
He's like, pet me, pet me.
I don't remember it happening any other time, but this one night, I was in my room, and my Iron Giant toy was like under a pile of toys, and I turned the light. I think I turned the light off, and I just hear this like loud Vin Diesel playing the Iron Giant scream coming from my Iron Giant toy, and I'm like, what just happened? And so like I turned the light on, and like I went and I looked at it, and it was just sitting on the ground, and I'm like, okay, this is really weird. So I turned the light off again. As soon as I turned the light off again, it did the same thing. So I don't know if it was like some sort of like weird electric wave happening or something, but like something happened to that toy, and like for some reason during that night, it like went off every time I turned off the light.
That's so creepy.
It's really weird.
Electromagnetic.
I don't know what it was.
That's really creepy. He's not a skeptic. He just hasn't seen anything.
I know. It was Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
It was Vin Diesel. The ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us. We're glad to be back. And hopefully next week we will be recording in our new house, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, maybe we'll do like a cool like Facebook Live or something. No, that sounds stupid. I don't know. Maybe we'll do like a video. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, maybe we'll do a seance, but we're never gonna do a seance
Hell
ever.
no.
No, I don't even want to do an
It'll be-
EVP session. I don't know.
What? I would totally do an EVP.
Would you do an
session.
EVP session
What is it-
alone
what is-
in
the
that
heck
room
is
in
an
the
EVP
garage?
session?
I think I would. Yeah.
An EVP session is when you take a voice recorder and
Heck
you ask
no.
questions.
Y'all are
Yeah.
stupid.
I'm not gonna do
It's gonna
it.
sit there and be like,
I'll do
3 bodies were found. Also, Cody McAnally's suspect. And be like, it's not me!
Yeah. What if we got a voice recorder and then I put you in that room in the garage?
I'll do it.
Would you do it?
Yeah, I'll do
You
it.
would not do that.
I'll do it. Yeah.
We'll see.
Be like,
Easy.
if you're here, tap twice, but you just hear,
Is that the smiling man?
Yep. And then I turn on the lights, and you just hear the Iron Giant screaming at me.
No.
oh man, you wake up and it is like a gigantic version of the Iron Giant. It's like, oh!
If you think that Chris should go into our creepy new garage storage door with an EVP thing, then let us know.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So,
Going to be living
yeah.
there. Could we not?
I don't know. We'll see.
Rustle up some
Make
spirits.
it interesting.
so we can have some
Only in the
experiences.
garage. We don't need to go in that garage anyway.
No! No! What is wrong with you people?
Oh my lord. Anyway, thanks for listening, you guys. We missed
Yeah.
y'all. We're glad to be back. And yeah, follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. We have a forum. We are on Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, YouTube. Beep. Yeah, man, wherever you can find us, subscribe, like us. If you want a shout out, send me a message and I will give you a shout out.
Yeah.
We're happy to be here. Hopefully we'll be getting some sponsors soon, which is awesome.
Oh, that'd be
so
crazy.
maybe we can get some merch out in the new year, which would be pretty sick. So yeah, thanks for joining us, you guys. We appreciate you, and we hope that you stay safe and you stay spooky.
Stay spooky, baby.
Do you have anything to say, McAnally? Later, tater.
Bye, guys.